I've seen like 100 videos of lunatics like attacking Teslas online, like keying them, spray painting them. Like,
okay, what do you think about Trump saying that those people look like terrorists to him? He said, I see those cars burning, not one or two, like 7, 8 cars burning. That's terrorism.
Are they committing violence in the furtherance of a political position?
Indeed, they are, Taylor.
Then yes, but that seems like a very gay version of terrorism. that's.
I mean, that's terrorism. I mean,
well, I mean, like, yeah, if you're,
is it violence if it's property damage?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess technically it is. It's just it doesn't have that same. That doesn't have that 9/11 taste in my mouth. You know.
You couldn't. I wouldn't key a Tesla for $1,000. I would keep my fucking distance. You better leave them alone,
dude. You gotta. There's cameras everywhere. Rivian's too, although no one's attacking them. Oh, Rivian went up today also. I said it was.
Oh, so the electric ones are going up. Or I guess no.
I think they're just domestically supplied. Like that's what makes them.
Well, then good for them. I hope they succeed enormously if they're all domestically supplied.
Anyway, I thought it was interesting, and I try not to chase after every fake throw, but I'm like, he tariffed all Elon's competitors. Okay, that's fine.
I was gonna see if Scout was doing had a good day too, but I guess kind of. Scout is an American EV company that I'm kind of interested in that thing they're making. It looks neat.
I'm sorry.
That's all. Just it looks neat. Those Scouts are cool.
I saw a video. It's called like Dad Cars, and he interviewed a guy who bought a Maserati. Have you seen this already? Dude spent like he's British. He spent like 11,000 pounds on maintenance the first year he owned it. I was like, that's why Maseratis lose their value.
Oh, like a quadruport? 4-door?
It looked amazing, but that probably doesn't help you. I bet all the Maseratis look good. I'm looking at my history.
Yeah, they're real nice. We've talked about it before, but they have the biggest depreciation of any vehicle that I've looked at. They go from being, I don't know, $100,000 car to being like a $20,000 car in a few years.
Here, I dropped a link real quick. It's timestamped on purpose.
Because the Datarati.
You can kind of see it. Let me see what.
Yeah, that's a 2-door.
The one that I linked?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know what it is?
I don't. I have no idea.
It looks amazing, though, doesn't it?
It's a Maserati Grand Sport, is what it is.
Zach,
I don't know much about them. It's got a V8 in it. I see that. Probably supercharged.
How do you see it?
I think I saw it on some badging, maybe. I don't see it here, obviously.
I was like, you say obviously. I'm like, how does he know? These car people, they just know things.
No. Well, I know a little bit about the quadruport because I've done a little research on it. I think there's a particular year model that's sought after. Everyone says it's the nicest sounding stock exhaust ever. And when I hear them, they do sound like aggressive and, I don't know, poppy and just it's like that's 4-door like European car. It sounds great. But you can get them for $10,000 or $20,000 in really good condition. But I think that you run into extremely expensive maintenance on them. If you could get one with a warranty, though, that'd be the move.
My father has always taught me that that's a financial mistake. That I'd be shopping for cars, and you know what $8,000 gets you in a Honda, or what $8,000 gets you in a Toyota or a Ford, and then you're like, wait a minute, there's a slightly older Alfa Romeo I could have. Suddenly, it's like that's cool, and I've never actually lived that experience, and it's like, do you really want to take car buying advice from a CPA who doesn't really like cars?
Yes.
I just remember like things like the Audi TT. That was the one that you could get fairly affordably.
Tony Stark drove that, right? No, R8.
No.
He drove the R8.
Yeah, he had an R8. That's like 10 times the cost. But I remember those Audi TTs were real cheap in like 05, 06. But they kept going on about the maintenance stuff. And there was a couple BMWs. My boss had a BMW Roadster, and it was constantly like expensive shit. And he worked at the dealership, so it was all like free or at cost or something. I think the dealership technically owned the car anyway, so it was free. But it was always expensive shit on those. And I don't know, I took note of that at the time that if there's something that looks too good to be true, if you're about to get in some Maybach and it's 20 grand under market value, that 20 grand's coming out of your pocket one way or another. You're going to be there's going to be an issue. There's going to be a timing chain, or there's going to be a crankshaft. There's going to be something expensive on that thing that somebody has made quiet just long enough for you to make a terrible financial decision. I remember we had one that came in and we were looking at it outside. It was a trade-in. I don't remember what it was. It was a BMW of some kind, like a 5 Series. And the engine was going click, 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 like slapping loud. You didn't need to be a mechanic to know this was not an easy fix. And my boss is scratching his head. He's like, it wasn't doing this when it came in. They paid too much on trade-in. And I was like, give me the card. I'm gonna go to the gas station. I can fix this. And he gave me the store card. And I went and got gear oil, 80 weight gear oil, this thick honey-like lubricant. And I put the whole bottle in that fucking Beamer, and it went click, 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 click. It quietened down, and it sounded like the pinnacle of German engineering that it was. They sent it to the auction. They got all their money back. I got nothing.
My father, not a car guy. Zach, can you find a picture of a Chevy Cavalier station wagon while I retell this old story?
Ooh la la.
And either maroon or teal, he had both at different points. He's a repeat Chevy Cavalier station wagon buyer. And I worked at his firm, right? My father's accounting firm, and all his coworkers, employees, whatever, would tease him because he's a financially successful man who drove the car of someone who's not thriving in life. And he loved it, though. Did you want to say something?
There's a scene in The Sopranos where Christopher's thinking about turning on the family, going with Adriana on the run, witness protection, and he's at the gas station trying to decide if he should do it or not. And he sees a guy pull up in one of these whose life is run down. He's got kids in the car pulling his hair. His wife's ugly and fat. They're drinking a whole 2 liter of Mountain Dew. It's white trash central. The car's full of trash. I'm almost positive it's that car. It was that car, and the lifestyle that it provided was what made him have his girlfriend murdered.
So my father loved this car. He always thought that this was the best car money could buy. While everyone else was like, you're just dead wrong. Nobody would desire a car like this. But to him, it was reliable and it met all his needs, and he never thought twice when he turned the key. And then one day he comes into work and he's just beaming with pride. He's been proven right that this is truly the best car. And we're like, okay, what is it? Why do you look like the cat that swallowed the canary? And he's like, I watched CNN this morning, and the Chevy Cavalier is the #1 least stolen car in America. Right?
Oh, no.
Was just like, what more do I need to say? Least stolen car in America.
That's quite the conclusion to draw from. Checkmate.
See that,
my gay awful car doesn't get stolen. What an ugly vehicle.
A criminal takes one look at this and thinks that guy's had enough. I'm not going to serve him another bad
I'm not going to steal for some gay guy.
It just looks, it's very utilitarian. I bet, honestly, like, look, if you're like the last man on earth, you might pick one of these. It's like, holy shit, I got all this room, got 4 doors. I'm not going to meet anybody, but there's storage opportunities here. Got that whole hatchback thing. But, to drive around and people are going to look at you, there are probably some better options. I watched the whole thing the other day about the death of the station wagon and how it wasn't just the mutation into the SUV, but there were a lot of other factors going on. And it was, I don't know, it was the kind of boring shit that I really enjoy. The whole idea it was the thing for a while. Like it was, they went all the way back to there was like a Ford Extendo Model T that was like the OG station wagon, I guess. And they went through how the wood paneling was seen as, I don't know, fancy. Because when I look at that wood paneling, I think back to Terminator 2 and that piece of shit station wagon they're in. And, I think about the Griswolds.
Yes.
And it to me, it's like, that's not wood, right? That's, I don't know what that is actually.
It was
on
the sticker, right?
It was in the beginning. Like it used to be real wood.
Yeah, well, okay. That dates back to when they were made of wood back there. But and it was like a wooden it barely even compares to like a car of today. It was like the Model T times when the bodies were wooden, and they would add those extensions onto them.
The
I
one I'm thinking of is a little fancy. The ones I'm finding.
That's a PT Cruiser, by the way, for anybody who's never seen one of these beauties before.
Those are the ugliest cars ever. They saw the Volkswagen Bug and they're like, but we can do it uglier.
It was so lame because like right when that car came out, me and my dad just finished restoring a 1935 Ford Slantback. Zach, show us what a 1935 Ford Slantback looks like. All the kids at school thought my dad drove a fucking PT Cruiser, and it was so embarrassing. And I'm like, no, it's a hot rod. You don't understand.
Your dad's like picking you up from school or taking you to sports, and you're like, no, it's cool. It's actually cool.
See what I mean?
Oh, well, you'd have to be retarded to take that for a PT Cruiser. That's pretty slick. I like that.
It was close
Everyone's
enough.
retarded.
No, ours was we used chrome illusion paint, and it did. I wouldn't like it in blue. Colors depending on how you're looking at it. Yeah, it wasn't blue. Ours was like purple and gold. Chrome illusion paint. Yeah, it was pretty funky to look at. We weren't going for traditional.
It
was all like a.
Why is it so low? That looks like it's a mistake. It should be higher up.
Yeah, I think that it's a drop show car. I mean, I think they're going for that.
That looks borderline undrivable.
It is undrivable. You can't drive that.
Oh, really? So they do that just for the show?
My guess is that car's on airbags, and that when they're ready to leave, they pump that car back up, and it's at a reasonable height, because that was so low you couldn't get it on a trailer. You couldn't get it out of a parking lot. That's impossible.
Now this looks like an AI photo. So what the hell is?
No, that's a real car. That's really close to what ours looked like, because we took the door handles off. It was still chromed out everywhere, but again,
where's the door handle?
It's gone.
How do you get in if the window's up?
I don't know what they've done, but we had electric buttons you pressed.
I never liked this style either, where they have like the engine free floating. It never seemed that neat. It looked unfinished. I didn't like that.
I don't know, man. That's a lot of engine he's got sticking out the front of that cock wagon. That thing looks like it would go 1,000 miles an hour, dude. Look at that.
Is that a huge engine? Is that?
I mean, I don't recognize that engine per se, but look at it, right?
I look at
if there's a guy who knows less about cars than me, I haven't met him.
Well, looks like he's got a huge,
that engine's so large it obscures the driver's view. So
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're having to drive like that.
I mean, over to the even side. If it's a medium-sized engine, even that's like a 327 or something, that blower, crazy tall intake thing he's got on there is going to be turning it into another 500 horsepower. That's a crazy powerful rocket ship car that you're looking at. Whenever I see those, I'm scared. I'm scared to drive something like that. So many of those cars are made out of nothing but fiberglass, and then they've got 1,000 fucking horsepower. Everybody's putting supercharged LS engines into stuff now. There's like Chevrolet Corvette engines, and
so if you get in an accident with fiberglass, it'd be like dropping a snow globe, right? Like just
it provides zero structural like crash dampening, crumple zoning. All that stuff is out the window. What you've got is a rail, and the engine's bolted to it. All the mechanics are, and then they've got a shell that goes over it. That works fine in a race car because the shell's going over a roll cage. But there ain't no roll cage in some of these kit cars that you're coming up with. You're making a race car and putting a fiberglass shell around you, and you're hitting the roads with everybody else that's got a foot of crumple zones and doesn't see your little Cobra coming. Those people explode. Like the distance between like the firewall and their feet is so little. Like they're not made for safety.